Well, after an incredibly long wait, the next Halo game, Halo Infinite, is finally here. Kind of. On November 15th, to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Halo and Xbox, 343 Industries granted everyone early access to the Halo Infinite multiplayer. Now, this is just the multiplayer. We get the campaign on Halo Infinite's official launch date on December 8th. And they are calling this the Halo Infinite multiplayer beta. Now, although they're calling this a beta, keep in mind that the official release date for Halo Infinite is a couple days away. 12 days from the time I'm recording this. So this isn't like a beta 8 months before the game releases where the developer can make a lot of significant changes to the game between the time of the beta and the official release. That's not the case here. This game comes out in a couple weeks. So this beta acts more as early access to a game than an actual beta. And 343 has announced that this is the beginning of Season 1. Right? Season 1 has begun. They're not waiting till the official launch to begin Season 1. No, Season 1 has started now during the beta, and that's another reason why I say this is more like early access than it is a beta. I can't be sure, but I think it's safe to say that what we are experiencing now within this beta, is effectively the same thing we are going to experience in the game on its official launch date, December 8th, plus the addition of campaign. There may be some additions to the game between now and then, but it doesn't look like it's going to be anything major. And along with 343 mentioning that this is the beginning of Season 1 for Halo Infinite, they mentioned that all your progression, all your customization carries over to the official launch. They mentioned that these are all the maps, modes, and playlists that will be in the game on launch day. And the first event for Halo Infinite, which 343 is calling Fractures, had began on Tuesday, November 23rd. Also, within this so-called beta, the Halo Infinite store is here. You can spend money on this game. You can buy tiers within the Battle Pass. So I think it's safe to say that this is effectively, for the most part, an early launch of the Halo Infinite multiplayer. And I'm not someone who likes to jump the gun and make assumptions. I didn't do that during the technical previews of Halo Infinite that I played. There were issues during the technical preview, and although we were still close to launch at the time, 343 had said this is an older build, and there was still time for them to fix some of the bugs that were present in those technical previews. And I gave them the benefit of the doubt, right? It may have been unlikely that all these things would have been fixed, but I gave them the benefit of the doubt. I said, hey, I will reserve my final judgment until the final game. But with everything I just mentioned considered, how this is the beginning of Season 1, the first event is starting next week, this is all the maps, modes, and playlists that are going to be in the game at launch on December 8th, and the game's official launch is only a couple weeks away. With all that considered, I am going to review this beta as if it is the official release of the Halo Infinite multiplayer. Again, it's not set in stone that this beta experience will be the same as the launch experience in about 18 days. That's not set in stone. But it's pretty likely that the beta and the official release in a couple weeks are going to be very, very similar. So with all that out of the way, let's get into this. What the hell have you guys been doing for the last 6 fucking years? For a Halo game that has been in development for the last 6 years, longer development cycle than any other Halo game, one of those years was an extra year because the game got delayed, developed by a AAA studio backed by Microsoft, and a rumored $500 million budget. What we are getting with this game's multiplayer, at least, is disgraceful. A lot of people are enjoying Halo Infinite right now, And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they were starved for a new Halo experience. People have been waiting for this game for so long, and it is finally here. And I think people dropped their expectations considerably. It seems like with each Halo game 343 puts out, people continue to lower their expectations. And you know, that's fine to a certain extent. I can't blame you for lowering your expectations considering 343's track record, but you shouldn't be lowering your standards of what a good Halo game consists of. You know, when I first played Halo Infinite during the first technical preview, I was pretty positive about the game. I was optimistic to a certain degree. I was having a lot of fun with the game, right? And I mentioned this in YouTube videos on Twitter. I mentioned that I'm enjoying this game. This gameplay, what I am experiencing here, I'm having fun. Now, don't get me wrong, there were definitely issues during the Halo Infinite technical previews. There were things I didn't like. I wasn't crazy about the maps, didn't like the changes they made to the HUD, and various other things that I wasn't a fan of. But I hold a technical preview to a much lower standard than the final game. And when I say final game, I'm just talking about the Halo Infinite multiplayer here. Campaign, we'll check that out on December 8th and see what that's all about. And yes, again, I know they're calling this a beta, but the game comes out in a couple weeks. This is the beginning of Season 1. These are all the maps, modes, and playlists that are going to be there at launch. For those of you that are saying, oh, it's just a beta, bro. It's just a beta. It's just a beta. Okay, well, if it's just a beta, let's see how many changes they actually make to the Halo Infinite multiplayer come launch day. Let's see if it's a completely different game on launch. Let's see how many additions they make to the game coming from the beta. Let's see. I don't think it's going to be anything significant. So again, the Halo Infinite technical previews that we got to play a couple months ago, for the most part, I was having fun. I enjoyed what the Halo Infinite multiplayer gameplay had to offer. It wasn't perfect. I had my gripes, but I liked it a whole hell of a lot more than Halo 4 and Halo 5. But now that we've got our hands on what is most likely the full Halo Infinite multiplayer experience, at least the full experience at launch, now it's time to start judging this game's multiplayer in its entirety and comparing it to other Halo games. Some people hate when you do that, when you compare to past Halo games. There's no problem with that at all. You should absolutely do that. You should absolutely compare this game to those old ancient Halo games that released 50 years ago. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And I know this is a live service game, right? I understand that. This game is going to change considerably over time, over the months, over the years. This game's going to be updated, add new content. I get it. That's how live service works. But when you have a live service game, you do not get a free pass on the state of the game at launch. Especially when you've had this much fucking time. And let's talk about that time for a second. Halo Infinite was originally supposed to release November of 2020, but the game got delayed an extra year, and in total that was about 6 years of development time for Halo Infinite. Now some people will say, oh well, they weren't just developing the game, they had to create a new engine. They built a whole new engine from the ground up, even though that's not the case at all. It's basically a heavily modified BLAM engine. BLAM engine is the engine that was used on all the other mainline Halo games.
Berger, I have seen some additional questions about the subspace engine. Just in general, is it carrying forward anything pre-existing from the prior games, or was it a complete from scratch rebuild?
Yeah, there's still some foundations. It wasn't a complete and total rebuild. It was a teardown of certain systems that didn't allow us to kind of scale out to the places that we wanted to be. But there's definitely still code and foundation that came.
So despite what some people still believe, this was not a whole brand new engine built from the ground up. Parts of the BLAM engine still exist in what they're calling their slipspace engine for Halo Infinite. And yes, I'm well aware that Halo Infinite is a free-to-play game. See, a lot of people think you can't criticize the game because it's free to play. Oh, it's free, bro. Can't complain. It's free. But first off, not everyone is a fan of the free-to-play model, right? Just because it's free to play, that doesn't mean everyone likes that. That doesn't mean that is objectively better than paying for the game. Like some people, myself included, would rather pay full price for Halo Infinite than have it be free to play. Actually, I would rather pay $100 for Halo Infinite, for the campaign and the multiplayer together. I'd rather pay $100 if that meant that there was no microtransactions in the game, and the way you unlock all these different items is just by playing the game and completing in-game challenges and stuff like that. If that were the case, then yeah, I'd rather pay $100 for Halo Infinite than have it be free to play with microtransactions. And also, something else that can be seen as an issue with free-to-play games is that's usually where the cheaters gravitate to. Free-to-play games tend to have a bigger issue when it comes to cheaters than games that you have to pay for. One example is Modern Warfare Warzone. That game is free to play, and it has been infested with cheaters for a long time. And already with Halo Infinite, we are seeing that it does have somewhat of a cheating problem. I mean, I've ran into people cheating with wall hacks and aimbotting. I've seen clips from people on Twitter. My friends have ran into multiple people cheating. And as of now, it's still a little too soon for me to say, you know, how big of an issue is this with Halo Infinite right now? How frequent are the cheaters? It's more frequent than I would like it to be, and I'd say that, I mean, the game cannot go on like this. Something has to be done about this. I'm sure there's been other games out there where the cheating is more frequent, but it is definitely an issue in Halo Infinite right now, 100%. And hey, listen. To those of you who haven't played against any cheaters, right? Don't comment below, well, I haven't played any cheaters, man. I've been playing so much Halo, I haven't played a single cheater. If that's you, please do everyone a favor and shut the fuck up. It doesn't matter if you've played cheaters or not, right? I don't care how much Halo Infinite you have played without running into cheaters. Well, for one, maybe you didn't even notice that you were playing against cheaters, all right? And I mean, that could happen. People can cheat. People can have wall hacks and still, kind of hide it. So I don't doubt that there's some people out there that have played cheaters but just didn't realize it. And even if you legitimately haven't run into any cheaters, well, guess what? Plenty of us have. Multiple times. So it is an issue. Just consider yourself lucky and move the fuck on. Don't try to defend the game. No, it doesn't have a cheating problem because me and my friends, we haven't run into any cheaters. Okay, well then what's to be said for all the people that have run into multiple cheaters, okay? Like, I hate when people try to defend the game by saying, from my experience, it's been fine. I haven't ran into cheaters. The game hasn't crashed for me. I haven't experienced that issue. Well, hey, if that's you, then just consider yourself lucky and go enjoy the game. When you try to defend a game, or anything for that matter, based on your own personal experience, then that's just anecdotal evidence, and it doesn't mean a whole lot. Listen, I've always been the type where if somebody is having an issue with something, but I'm not experiencing that personally, I don't just automatically dismiss their complaints. No, I recognize that, hey, they may very well be experiencing this, but I'm not. And I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. Some people don't experience any issues, right? And you know what they say? You know what they say? It works fine for me. It works fine for me. Ain't that cute? When a lot of these people throw that back at you, game works fine for me, they think they're like defending the game in a way, and they think they're saying, see, no, it's not broken, works fine for me. But they don't realize that when they say that, they're just proving that the game is even more broken. Because what is more broken than a game that is really fucked up for someone, but works just fine for another? What is more broken than that? So when I say that the game is performing like shit, it keeps crashing, and you come back with, oh, well, it works fine for me. Okay, thank you. The game is more broken than I ever could have imagined. Thanks for pointing that out. And another thing people love to throw out there to justify how long 343 has been developing this game is the pandemic. Now, the pandemic, no doubt that brought with it a whole slew of complications that 343 had to deal with. They were working from home. I understand that, but you cannot blame the state of this game entirely on the pandemic. You can't even blame most of it on that, because here's the thing, Halo Infinite was already in development for about 4 years before the pandemic. 343 showed off Halo Infinite gameplay for the first time in July of 2020. And that gameplay reveal was met with a ton of criticism, and rightfully so, because there were some glaring issues within that reveal. The game didn't look great at all, and that was showed off about 4 or 5 months after the pandemic really hit. So it was clear then, with all that development time, about 4 years of development for Halo Infinite before the pandemic, when they showed off that gameplay reveal in July of 2020, it was clear that this game had some issues. I mean, that was their gameplay reveal. Their little gameplay demo. Like, you at least make that one little section look good, but they couldn't even do that. And well, as many of you know, Halo Infinite ended up getting delayed in a whole extra year. Okay, this game has been in development long enough. Alright, you can't blame this all on the pandemic. Can't blame this on the new engine for the game that's not actually a brand new engine. The way this game launches, that is on 343. They are to blame, or to be praised on the things they did well. Now, although the Halo Infinite campaign is coming December 8th, we won't be getting Co-op Campaign until a later date. Many of us already know this, and originally it was slated that Co-op Campaign was going to make its way into the game in Season 2, which was about 3 months post-launch, and Forge was supposed to come 6 months post-launch in Season 3.
What we're targeting is to ship Campaign Co-op in Season 2, and then we're targeting to ship Forge in Season 3. Timing-wise, for us, a season is about 3 months. That's our goal, is to ship a season every 3 months. So when it comes to Campaign Co-op, our target is to ship Co-op in Season 2 about 3 months after launch, and then our goal is to ship Forge in Season 3, which would be about 6 months after launch. But of course, all these plans are subject to change as we dial things in, but that's our goal right now.
But 343 has announced that Season 2 has been pushed back. So now Season 2 won't begin until sometime in May. So 343 originally announced that seasons were supposed to last 3 months, and they're already not meeting that time frame with the very first fucking season of the game, so I mean, that's not a good sign right there. But yeah, Co-op Campaign was supposed to come with Season 2. I mean, that is something that definitely should have been here at launch. There's no excuse for that not to be here at launch. You know, I mean, some people will say, oh, but it's open world. It's open world. There's going to be all this new stuff we can do in the campaign. Listen, Co-op Campaign has been in Halo since Halo 1. 2001. Co-op Campaign is a staple in Halo. It should always be there, especially at launch. If there's something about the Halo Infinite campaign that makes it difficult to incorporate co-op, whatever that thing is, that new thing that they did with Infinite's campaign, that's the thing that should have come post-launch, right? Not the co-op campaign. You get the co-op campaign in there for launch. Whatever the other stuff is that makes it difficult to get co-op campaign in there, that's what comes later. That's what comes 3 months post-launch or 5 months post-launch. Not the fucking co-op campaign, which is a staple mode in Halo. But now that Season 2 got pushed back and co-op campaign was supposed to come in Season 2, I guess that means that it's going to be 5 months now until we get co-op campaign in Halo Infinite. I mean, maybe co-op campaign, maybe because Season 2 is getting pushed back, maybe that means that co-op campaign will not be releasing with Season 2, and they will add co-op campaign after the original the original goal of 3 months post-launch. Maybe they'll do that, but my guess is the reason that they are pushing Season 2 back is because they need more time with the co-op campaign. And who knows if it'll get pushed back again. Who knows if it'll be buggy when it does get added. Who knows when Forge is going to come. Who knows if co-op campaign is even going to be 4-player co-op. I have this strange feeling that when co-op does come to Halo Infinite, it's only going to be 2-player co-op. And with Halo Infinite's Season 2 getting pushed back 5 months post-launch instead of the original 3 months post-launch, that has led a lot of people to believe that not only is co-op campaign further out, but Forge is also getting delayed as well. And the reason people believe this is because, like 343 has already stated, their goal is to have each season last 3 months. And so if every season is indeed going to be 3 months, by delaying Season 2, you're basically delaying every season that follows. And 343 had mentioned that the goal was to get Forge into the game come Season 3, which was originally supposed to be 6 months post-launch. And so if seasons in Halo Infinite are still going to last 3 months, and if Forge is still coming with Season 3, then that means Forge is even further out than we originally expected. That means instead of Forge being added to Halo Infinite 6 months post-launch, it is now going to be 8 months post-launch. And that's a long time, right? That's a while. And Forge is something that adds a lot to the game. And you know, my opinion on Forge not being in the game at launch has always been, yeah, it sucks that it won't be there day one. I mean, Forge does add a lot to the game. Some people only play Halo for Forge or the custom games that are built within Forge. But I also felt if the Forge mode in Halo Infinite is absolutely incredible when it finally does make its way into the game, then I guess it's not such a bad thing that it wasn't there at launch. But I said that when Forge was originally supposed to be 6 months out, and now we're talking 8 months. I mean, that's a long fucking time, and there's no guarantee that the Forge is going to be anything incredible. I mean, why should I expect the Forge in Halo Infinite to go above and beyond? Because 343 has not done that with the custom games. They have not done that with the god-awful theater mode that is broken beyond belief. I mean, we'll touch on that in a separate video. They have not done this with Halo Infinite's customization. This game only has 4 playlists, well, currently 5, with the Fiesta playlist, which is probably just a limited time playlist for this current event. Halo Infinite is launching with the least amount of multiplayer maps out of any Halo game ever. It's missing a bunch of game modes. This game doesn't have service records, doesn't have pre-game lobbies. There's also no post-game lobbies, where in previous Halo games you could talk to other players that were in that match after the game. You could party up with certain players. No firefight, no progression system, and various other things as well. This game is missing a lot of shit. It's missing a lot of content and features despite being in development longer than any other Halo game. So why would we sit here and suspect that the Forge is going to be better than any Forge we've had in previous Halo games? Why would we think that? So anyways, I'm not convinced that the Forge in Halo Infinite will go above and beyond previous iterations of Forge. Maybe it does. I hope it does. I also hope it's not broken, right? Maybe it is. Maybe it does have a lot of cool features that are a first for Forge, but maybe it's broken. Maybe it's as broken as Theater currently is in Halo Infinite. And with Forge not being present in Halo Infinite at launch, and it's looking like it's not going to make its way into Infinite until 8 months post-launch, you would think with the absence of Forge that they would have gone above and beyond with the settings in custom games. And while there are some settings in Halo Infinite's custom games that were not present in previous Halo games, there's also some very basic settings that are not here. Settings that were in Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3. Like for example, in Halo Infinite, you cannot choose which type of weapons and vehicles spawn on the map. This is something you could do back in Halo fucking 1. How is a basic setting like that going to be absent in Halo Infinite, the Halo game of 2021? And another thing you cannot adjust in the Halo Infinite custom game settings is which piece of equipment you spawn into the match with. And you cannot adjust the amount of uses you get for each piece of equipment. Now, yeah, you couldn't do that with the equipment in the custom game settings for Halo 3, but that was 2007. But this is 2021, and with Halo Infinite not launching with Forge, these are some settings you'd definitely think would be there, especially the settings that were present in the 2001 Halo game, Halo CE. Now, out of all the things missing in Halo Infinite, I believe the absence of this next feature is what has shocked me the most. When I first discovered this, I couldn't believe it. Ever since Halo 2 in 2004, players had the ability to choose between a variety of different teams. And these different teams were divided by color. So you would have a red team, a blue team, pink team, gold team, purple team, brown team, green team, orange team, a variety of different team colors. And with the ability to play on a multitude of different teams in past Halo games, this opened the door to multi-team game types. And personally, I think multi-team is an incredibly fun game type to play in Halo. And, you know, it sucks that it hasn't really had much of a presence in Halo in recent years. Like, despite MCC having a match composer where you can select a bunch of different game types, multi-team is not an option. Multi-team was a limited time playlist in MCC at one point in time, and I played the shit out of it when it was there, and I really enjoyed it. Currently in Halo 5, there isn't a multi-team playlist, and it seems like with Halo Infinite, multi-team continues to be phased out. At least in Halo 5 and MCC, multi-team is possible. I can go into a custom game and play multi-team. Yeah, that's not possible in Halo Infinite because there are only two teams. Team Cobra and Team Eagle, even though it's actually not an eagle, it's a fucking hawk, but they call it Eagle, so whatever. Now listen. I get it. 343, they were taking some inspiration from Halo 1 there with the Team Cobra and the Team Eagle that's actually a hawk. But, you know, we don't have to be exactly like Halo CE where there were only two teams, right? You know, we don't have to copy it in that way. Like adding a greater variety of teams other than just red and blue team, that was a good addition to Halo. And the fact that that is missing from Halo Infinite is honestly mind-blowing. It is. I cannot believe that. Out of all the things this game is missing, that is the biggest shock to me. Now, some people might argue that the reason there isn't additional team options in the game is because 343 has done away with team colors. So, for example, instead of red versus blue, it's Eagle versus Cobra, and you can switch your team and enemy colors if you like. But in Halo 4, along with the team colors, 343 also assigned a different animal per team. Like, blue team was Team Stingray and red team was Sharks. So they could definitely do the same thing with Infinite and have different animals for the other teams. Like, green team could be a Stingray, a purple team could be a Shark. So just because 343 did away with team colors, red versus blue, by no means does that restrict them from having multiple different teams in the game other than Cobra versus Eagle, even though it's a hawk. So Halo Infinite is launching with a couple different game modes. Of course, we got Slayer, Capture the Flag, Strongholds, Oddball, and you got your Stockpile and Total Control and Big Team Battle. And yeah, that's about it. Listen, I'm not gonna sit here and nitpick and point out like the more niche modes that are not present in Halo Infinite, like Headhunter and Invasion. But there are staple modes missing from this game. Halo Infinite is missing King of the Hill, Assault, Infection, obviously no Griffball because we don't have Forge. Some people love Griffball, but that's not here. And there's plenty of other modes missing as well. But these are some core staple modes that should always be in a Halo game at launch. How is it we don't have fucking King of the Hill? King of the fucking Hill? We had King of the Hill in Halo 1, 2001. I'm starting to notice like a trend, things that were in Halo in 2001 that can't be in Halo in 2021. It's really weird. Don't have Assault. Assault may be my favorite game type to play in big team battle. Assault is such a fun game type when each team has their own bomb. You gotta take the bomb to the enemy base while defending your base. You plant the bomb, you defend the bomb, and then it blows up and you score. That is such a fun game mode, especially for BTB, and we don't have it. This may be the least amount of game modes a Halo game has ever launched with. I'm not entirely sure. I don't really know about Halo 1. But this game definitely should have had more. 100%, especially modes that should be a staple in Halo, like King of the fucking Hill. We also don't have SWAT. For some people, that's majority of what they play. Team SWAT. We don't even have that. Now, maybe within the custom game settings in Halo Infinite, you can create your own SWAT mode. I'm not convinced of that, honestly, because in SWAT, you're more resistant to body shots. And I don't know if that's a setting within the custom games, but even if it is, which I don't know if it is, but even if it was, SWAT should have definitely just been one of the default modes that you can select, but it's not. Moving right along, let's talk about the Halo Infinite launch playlists. Yeah, we got 4. Yeah, we have 4. Do people just like... I don't understand some of these people, man. We get this game, it's missing a ton of shit. A ton of stuff is broken, and we're gonna touch on that. 4 fucking playlists? Do people play this game and go, oh yeah, that makes sense, yeah. Yeah, 4 playlists. After 6 years, yeah, that makes sense. 6 years, 4 playlists. Other Halo games, less dev time, more playlists, more game modes, more maps. Halo Infinite, more time, less stuff, more broken. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Like, are people... Listen, this reaction, this is not coming from a place of, oh, the game doesn't have my favorite game mode. I can't play the game mode I want. Doesn't have the playlist I like. Now, that's not what this is. This is more me just being astonished, shocked by the state of this fucking game. This is shock right here. Oh, bro, you shouldn't have had high expectations. I didn't. No, I had low expectations. We had real low expectations. And when I played the tech preview and I enjoyed the gameplay, I said those exceeded my expectations. And it did. I did not expect the gameplay to be as fun as I thought it was. And I still think the gameplay in Halo Infinite is fun. I do. Again, there's some things I still have issues with pertaining to the Halo Infinite gameplay, but there's a lot of fun to be had there, and I still like the gameplay more than the gameplay that Halo 4 and Halo 5 had to offer. But I haven't gotten to truly sit down and just grind through the night, invest a ton of time into the Halo Infinite multiplayer yet, because I'm just in shock by all the things that are missing or are broken in this game. And I want to make something clear. When I say I enjoy the Halo Infinite gameplay, the gameplay is fun, that's not me saying, oh, it's okay that these things are broken, it's okay that all these things are missing, because the gameplay is fun, and that's what's most important. No, that is not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that, hey, I think the gameplay in Halo Infinite is fun. But that does not justify this game launching the way it did. It seems like with some people, they try to justify this game missing a ton of features and content and justify the things that are broken by saying, oh, the gameplay is fun, and that's what matters most. Yeah, gameplay is what matters most, but it is not the only thing that matters, and it does not justify this game launching the way it did. And also, you gotta remember that we've had past Halo games with good gameplay. Halo 2 Halo 3, various other Halos had fun gameplay. And they also launched with all this other shit. Like Halo 3 had good gameplay, and it also had 4-player co-op campaign, a progression system, Forge, a theater that fucking worked, and that's just to name a few. I could keep going, but I just wanted to point out that although Halo Infinite's gameplay is fun, that does not excuse the game launching the way it did, with a lack of features, a lack of content, a lack of playlists, and various issues. But yeah, I had low expectations, I did. But I'm sorry, maybe some of y'all did, but I didn't predict that this game would launch with the least amount of maps out of any Halo game. I didn't see that one coming, I'll admit. I didn't see this game launching with 4 playlists. Sorry, didn't see it coming. Didn't see no King of the Hill. Nope. Couldn't foresee that either. You know, all this talk about how Halo Infinite needed to launch as a complete game with everything that you would expect in a Halo game to be there at launch. And, yeah, it missed that by a mile. It did not hit that standard, not even close. There is so much that is missing here. So much that is broken here. So 4 playlists, that's all we're getting in Halo Infinite launch. These playlists consist of Bot Boot Camp, so you just play against bots, Big Team Battle, Ranked Arena, and Quick Play. And Quick Play is a playlist that consists of a variety of different game types. So you have your Slayer, you Cap the Flag, Strongholds, Oddball. So no Team SWAT, no Team Snipers, no Griffball playlist, no Team Slayer playlist. No Team Slayer. The most standard default core playlist you can fucking have, Team fucking Slayer, is not in this game at launch. That is insanity. Sorry, I didn't foresee that either. I didn't see this game launching without a fucking Team Slayer playlist. You got me, 343. I didn't see it. You tricked me. You fooled me. Team Slayer is by far my favorite Halo playlist. Maybe not so much in Halo Reach because the settings were pretty trash in that, but in Halo 3, the overwhelming majority of my time invested in that game, the months of playtime I have in that game, was invested in the Team Slayer playlist. And even when I play MCC now, I usually play Team Slayer. Team Slayer playlist, easily my favorite Halo playlist. How the fuck do you launch a Halo game without a Team Slayer playlist? Now, 3 of these playlists are social playlists, or maybe you could say 2 are social playlists, and then Bot Boot Camp is, just Bot Boot Camp. But either way, we only have 1 ranked playlist. Now, I'm going to discuss Halo Infinite Ranked in greater detail in a separate video, but right now I'll just say this. There should absolutely be more ranked playlists in this game at launch. Like, it is really hard to believe that there is not going to be a ranked Team Doubles playlist or a ranked Team Slayer playlist. And I don't know for sure, none of us really know for sure, but with the lack of content in Halo Infinite at launch, it leads you to wonder if 343 is intentionally withholding content so that they could bring it into the game later on with future events. And that would be something very reminiscent of what 343 did with Halo 5, where at Halo 5's launch, there were some modes missing that should have been there at launch. Things like Big Team Battle, Infection, Oddball, Assault, Griffball, and all those modes made their way into Halo 5 post-launch within these content updates. Like, they didn't just randomly add Infection to Halo 5 on its own when it was ready, assuming that it wasn't ready or something like that. No, it came in the form of a content update. Same goes for Griffball and Assault, and you can't help but wonder if that is what 343 is doing here with Halo Infinite. And I don't think we'll ever truly know. Like, if King of the Hill or Assault does make its way into Halo Infinite with a future event, that wouldn't 100% confirm that 343 withheld that stuff to bring it in with future events, because they could just play it off like, oh, the game type just wasn't ready. Assault wasn't ready for launch. Now it is ready now with this event. So they could kind of argue that, as opposed to, oh yeah, we just didn't put Assault in the game at launch because we needed content for our future events, so we just withheld that until Season 3 or whatever. But it makes sense. It makes sense that 343 would do that. I'm not saying it's a good thing. It's a terrible thing. I mean, if the reason King of the Hill and other game modes are not in this game at launch is because you're holding them for future events, then fuck that. That is so god-awful, and that should be heavily criticized. But just think about it. This game clearly wasn't finished. It's clearly missing a lot of stuff. A lot of things are broken. This game clearly needed more time. I mean, they're still working on Co-op Campaign and Forge. These are big parts of the game. So with how unfinished this game is, it makes sense that they wouldn't have a bunch of stuff cooked up for their future events. I could see them being kind of desperate for content for their future events in this game. And as a result of that, they may very well be withholding content from this game so that they do have stuff for these later events. I don't know for sure, right? I'm not saying that is 100% the case. I'm just throwing it out there, and I don't think it's too far out there to suspect that that might be the case. Something I always like to go back to, and this is something I've mentioned time and time again, is Halo Reach and all the content that game had launched with. Now, yeah, Halo Reach was a game that was heavily criticized. Not everyone loved it, but I feel like a lot of the things people disliked about that game had to do more with the gameplay, like the armor abilities and the reticle bloom and stuff like that. But there's no denying that Halo Reach launched with so much content. On day one, players had access to campaign with co-op campaign, 4-player co-op campaign, matchmaking, firefight, and this was the most advanced version of firefight we've ever seen in Halo. Even today, there were so many different unique settings that you could customize to your liking within Halo Reach's firefight, and you could create some really unique experiences. And plus, there was a bunch of preset game modes for firefight right out the gate, like rocket fight, arcade fight, generator defense, firefight versus, so you could even have a PvP experience within the firefight. We had custom games with several new game modes like Invasion, Headhunter, Stockpile. Theater mode was in the game at launch. We had an improved version of Forge with our own Forge canvas called Forge World. Also in Halo Reach at launch, we had more playlists than we do in Halo Infinite. We also had a file browser in Halo Reach Day 1, which made it easier to search for films, screenshots, maps, game modes. Halo Reach launched with the best customization that we had ever seen in a Halo game at the time, and some could argue that it's still better today. Of course, we also had a progression system in Halo Reach at launch, where you got XP based on how well you did, if you won the match, playing the objective, completing challenges, things like that. And we also had daily, weekly, and monthly challenges in Halo Reach, which would also give you XP if you completed them. And those challenges were there to complement the Halo Reach progression system, and it added in an additional way to earn XP other than just playing the game normally. Those challenges were not there to replace per match XP, which is kind of how it is with Halo Infinite. We also had pre-game lobbies, post-game lobbies, detailed statistics that could be viewed within a player's service record, and we had the ability to view other players' service records, not just your own. And there was also a section within the service record where you could check yours as well as others' ranks for each season within the Halo Reach arena. And not only could you check a player's rank for each season, you could also see some other statistics, like their kills, their deaths, their assists, their wins, their losses for every season as well. And so far, from what I can tell, it does not look like Halo Infinite is going to have a service record with detailed statistics and a way to check which rank you reached each season. And not being able to see my rank from every season within the game itself, yeah, that's a big issue for me. Because when I know that rank that I grinded for will just reset every 3 months and then I have nothing to show for it, that just leaves me very unmotivated to even grind for a rank, because it just resets and then it's gone forever, and then you just do it again, it resets, you do it again, and just on repeat. Halo Reach was the very first Halo game to introduce seasons, and Bungie had it figured out back then in 2010, because in Halo Reach, like I mentioned, there was a way to check your rank for every season within the game itself. You go to your service record, you could see your rank and other statistics for each season. And also, like I mentioned, in Halo Reach, it wasn't just your rank and your statistics you could check that for other players as well. But at the very least, in Halo Infinite, there absolutely needs to be a way where players can check which rank they obtained each and every season on the game itself. And if that's not going to be a thing, if it's going to be like Halo 5, where your rank just resets every season and you have nothing to show for it, then that is a massive L. One of Halo Infinite's biggest flaws right now is a lack of content and features. Like something as basic and important as a progression system, which we've seen in every mainline Halo game since Halo 3, is not going to be in Halo Infinite at launch. It's not going to be here at launch. It is something 343 is looking into. And one of their reasonings for not having a progression system, they said they needed time. They said getting a progression system into Halo Infinite is the team's top priority, but to do it right, they're gonna need time. They need time. Because the 6 years wasn't enough to get a fucking progression system in the game, which has been in Halo since 2007. And it was in every other Halo game, every other mainline Halo game after 2007. And all those Halo games had less development time. A progression system is one of those things that keeps me playing a game long term. Right? I like to gain XP based on how well I do, winning matches, playing the objective, getting certain medals, going on sprees, whatever it may be. And yeah, I like earning XP for how you perform each match. And it gives you something to work towards. And when 343 says things like it's going to take more time to do it right, like first off, I don't know what they consider doing it right, okay? They say to do this right, we need more time. Okay, well, I mean, I don't know what you consider doing it right, but I guarantee the overwhelming majority of people would prefer a progression system similar to the progression system, any of the progression systems in Halo 3 through Halo 5, than no progression system at all, okay? And I can't wait to see what the progression system does look like in Halo Infinite when it finally does come. Who knows when that'll be, but when we do finally get a progression system in Halo Infinite, let's see what doing it right really meant. Let's see. Is it going to be better? Is it going to be a better system than Halo Reach 3, 4, or 5? Or is it just going to be like the same thing, basically? And a lot of people praise 343 for their transparency. And I like transparency. Who doesn't, right? But when 343, when they're being transparent, it's a lot of the time it seems like their reasonings for certain things, their explanations, it just feels like they're bullshitting me, right? Like they're giving me the runaround. Like when they tell me getting a progression system into Halo Infinite is going to take time, when they tell me that after this Halo game has been in development longer than any other fucking Halo game, and every mainline Halo game since Halo 3 has had a fucking progression system back in 2007, and then they tell me it's gonna take time when that's their reasoning, time just feels like a slap in the fucking face. I mean, to be completely fair, they might not be wrong by saying it's going to take them more time. I'm sure it will take them more time, but it shouldn't take that much time, right? You shouldn't have a Halo game in development for that fucking long and launch it without a progression system. Like, if 343 truly wanted to be transparent and honest with the community, then they'd say something like this regarding no progression system in Halo Infinite at launch. They would say something such as, unfortunately, Halo Infinite will not be launching with a progression system. We understand that a Halo game that has been in development for as long as this one should be launching with a progression system. We understand that many people will be disappointed by this, but we'll get it in the game as soon as possible. You know, that's it. I mean, that's all. You don't even have to reveal the complications that went on internally when developing this game. You don't have to do that, right? But just don't blame it on time, man. You don't tell me it's a time thing when this game was in development longer than any other fucking Halo game, and it got delayed an extra fucking year. So you can't come back and say, oh, we need more time. We just need time. Again, that's a slap in the fucking face. And a couple days ago, Sketch put out a tweet acknowledging the constructive feedback they've gotten regarding this game. I assume a lot of that has to do with this game's monetization system. And he mentions how changes will take time. Again, listen, I get it. Yes, they will take time, right? But when you keep using that as an excuse for why things aren't a certain way right now, it just makes you look like a complete and utter fool. Because this game has had so much time, has had more time than a lot of games, more time than any other Halo game. And this game is launching without features that obviously should have been there at launch, right? Like a lot of these things should not have been brought to 343's attention for the first time since the community got their hands on the game. No, like there's some things that are just common sense, like a progression system, right? They shouldn't have just figured out that, oh, this game might need a progression system. No, that's a no-brainer. This game should have a progression system at launch, and it's not. Things like the monetization system, right? 343, they're seeing the feedback from the community. I mean, it is obvious that there was issues with the way 343 is monetizing items in this game. Like there's obvious glaring issues. And for them not to see that before releasing the game is hard to believe. Unless this was just them seeing what they can get away with, you know, testing the waters, you know. Do people mind paying $20 for these lackluster armor sets? Let's see. So it might be that. It might just be them trying to see what they can get away with, and with the extreme amount of backlash they got regarding this game's battle pass and monetization, now they are kind of forced to make some changes. And I understand that changes will take time, but let's stop using that as an excuse, because you guys had plenty of time. You know, just give me some other generic PR response, but don't say it's cause of fucking time. But anyways, that's enough ranting about this game. I can't say I'm that disappointed, right? I did have low expectations. Again, I'm having fun with the gameplay in Halo Infinite, right? I'll keep saying that. There's a lot of fun to be had within the gameplay of Halo Infinite. A lot of unique and crazy things you can pull off that you can't pull off in any other Halo game, or any other game for that matter. So, you know, that stuff is cool. But I'm judging this game in its entirety and how it stacks up against other Halo games, especially Halo games from fucking 14, 17 goddamn years ago, man. And I mean, the fact that Halo 1, 2, 3, the fact that there's so many things that those games did so much better than Halo Infinite, I mean, it's just, it's embarrassing on 343's part. It really is. When Bungie was making Halo, I mean, they were pushing boundaries. They were doing things no other game was doing. Halo 1, 2, and 3, these were very revolutionary games, especially Halo 2. I mean, these were absolutely revolutionary games. A ton of innovation not just little innovation, massive innovation. Halo 2 really just redefined how we experience gaming online. But for about the last 10 years, we've had 343 developing Halo, and they have dropped the ball time and time again. And they have yet to develop a Halo game that lives up to the success and the quality of most of the Halo games Bungie put out back in the day. Halo 1, 2, and 3, they were revolutionary games for their time. And I mean, even to this day, there's things that those games accomplished that, no other game has. And it's just really embarrassing on 343's part when you have these older Halo games that accomplish things that 343 never could. Not even with their Halo game of 2021. Anyways, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Halo Infinite, there's fun to be had, but is this the game that's really going to put Halo back on the map? Is this the game that's going to see, the same levels of success and hype that Halo 3 did back in the day? I doubt it. Right now, the game's extremely popular. Lots of people playing it. That's because it just came out. And it's not even the official launch yet. So, of course, numbers are going to be high. Viewer numbers, population numbers, people in the game. Of course, that's going to be high for a little while. But I don't expect it to last that long. This game, Halo Infinite, it just ain't it. At least it ain't it yet. Again, I'm sure this game will see many improvements going forward, and content will be added to the game down the line. But as it stands now, the current state of this game is god fucking awful. See you later.